Public CEO Report is a podcast that provides insights about the public sector and public policy for the benefit of decision makers and leaders powering our communities. I'm your host, Ryder Todd Smith, and today we're joined by Peter Pirnejad, President of Cal-ICMA and City Manager of the town of Los Altos Hills. Welcome to the Public CEO Report, Peter.
Hi, Ryder. Thanks for having me.
Great to have you here. So we are getting ready to record this video as a run-up to the annual conference for the League of California Cities City Manager Division. You are the city manager in the beautiful town of Los Altos Hills. Tell me a little bit about how you got into local government.
Great. Well, delighted to be here. I want to thank you for taking the time to put this together. And I think the timing is perfect as we're heading into the City Managers Department Conference, and really looking forward to meeting up with colleagues and friends and doing the great work of Cal-ICMA. As far as I'm concerned, for me, local government has been part and parcel to my professional career since the very beginning. I've served in local government for 26 years, started off graduating UCSB and got my first job in local government as a planner. And then 26 years later, I served in multiple local government agencies. 2 of those years I spent in Oracle leading business development and strategy. I have a passion to serve and enrich the lives of those professionals around me and in my industry, look for meaningful work, look for ways to teach and to extend my knowledge to those that are interested. I have an interest in technology, which will come out in today's conversation, really focused on good governance, leadership development, and advocating for my profession within local government and leadership within it. So really delighted. This is my thing. You know, I don't have a lot of hobbies. Local government is kind of my passion as well as my job. So, going back to school and getting my doctorate was really really more about trying to contribute to the profession and the body of knowledge. And so I kind of geek out on this stuff. I kind of enjoy it. So not too many people can say they really enjoy their job. I'm one of the fortunate few. That's good.
That's good. I'm sure your wife appreciates that this is your chosen hobby in life. It's a pretty mundane one. So, and did you know you wanted to get into city government in college? Like, when did you kind of say, like, yes, I want to go to planning when I graduate?
Well, that's a really good question, because when I graduated in the 90s, work was hard to come by. So I really wanted to look for meaningful work that made an impact in people's lives. I wanted to serve an industry that was committed to long-term results, not short-term profits. And local government just neatly fit into that category. I've never regretted my choice. It's been, ever since then, it's a constantly evolving and growing and learning exercise. But government is such a large industry. A lot of people have called it an industry of industries. You need to be an expert in community development and public works. You need to know community engagement. You need to understand finance and budget. There's so many elements. It always keeps you on your toes, always keeps you interested. And now as we go from more technical challenges to more wicked or adaptive challenges, the work is even more meaningful and complex. So it's keeps you interested, always talking to other city managers, how we can improve upon each other's work. And it's you're never bored. It's never the same day twice.
Yeah, that is the truth. And then you mentioned in passing you have your doctorate, which is pretty unusual still for a city manager community. You're, if I recall correctly, you're a USC guy. Is that correct for your postgraduate education?
Master's and PhD.
So you're part of the USC mafia, so to speak, that dominates the city management profession in California?
Well, definitely in Southern California, it seems to be the case. A lot of my friends and colleagues have gone to USC. I mean, they do have one of the best policy schools. They're constantly rated among the top, and quite honestly, the Price School is, I don't know of another school that could beat the practical and academic perspective that they offer their students. It's really been a literal lifetime of learning. I went back for my master's degree in the early 2000s, and then I was a father of 3 by the time I decided to go back for my PhD and graduated in 2017. So it's been a labor of love, but I've really enjoyed every element of it. And the campus is beautiful, and they have a Sacramento campus. Anyways, it's been a great journey. Really enjoyed it.
Awesome. And then you also mentioned this, you took a little hiatus into the private sector world and worked at Oracle. How does that align with your, how did that, what's up with that journey? Why did you make that jump for a bit?
Well, I did. This was, about 8 years ago. It was incredible. I've always been interested in technology and the role that technology can play in advancing local government. And I really wanted to learn how to better understand what makes it tick. How does it work? How does a company actually deliver solutions? What needs to happen? And so those years working with government agencies, solving problems, leading product development conversations, really helped me understand how best to leverage technology. It really also taught me about the ecosystem of GovTech, how they raise funding, how they go to market, how they support products. It was really, quite honestly, a crash course for me in that entire ecosystem. And since then, it's really opened a lot of doors for me. While I was at Oracle, I was asked to serve on the board of the Alliance for Innovation, a nonprofit, mission-driven organization that was focused on both social and technology innovations in local government, solving local government challenges. And then it also led me to sit on the board of directors for CivStar, which is a mission-driven GovTech accelerator focused on helping small early-stage startups solve government problems. So talking to those very eager-minded developers and programmers, et cetera, and help them understand the industry as well as our ecosystem in local government and the role that they can play has been really gratifying to me, because ultimately they come at problems slightly differently and can open our minds to, different ways to solving problems. And so I've done a lot of speaking on innovations of AI in local government most recently, and it's really cool to be on the cutting edge on the board of CivStar to see how those solutions come to fruition and how they impact the market. And it's an incredible journey. But that two-year hiatus for me was like, it was just like 2 years of knowledge that really should have spanned 10, crammed into 24 months. So it was a huge learning curve for me.
Nothing moves slow at Oracle.
Yeah.
But you're back in the seat of a city manager, as a city manager in an organization in the beautiful town of Los Altos Hills. Tell me a little bit about what you love working in Los Altos Hills and why it's a great community.
Well, I think the size of Los Altos Hills is first and foremost the one thing that really appeals to me. I love that the city strives to protect its small town, rural feel and character. But at the same time, being in the heart of Silicon Valley, it really embraces modern innovation and how to apply that to local government. So the town has been extremely gracious and accommodating with some of my new ideas on how to innovate, kind of bring the city into the digital era, introduce concepts like cloud storage, updating all of our hardware to the latest laptops to make sure that we are hybrid compatible. People can work from home and remote. And I mean, being a small organization, we don't really have the luxury or the detriment of just doing the same thing. Everybody has to wear multiple hats. We all feel like we're part of the solutions. We all are part of the service that we deliver to our constituents. I love the fact that we don't find ourselves in silos. We learn to work with each other, with community leaders, volunteers. We seek to find creative solutions together around problems. We leverage resources because we are small but mighty and have to kind of find creative ways to accomplish the community and the council's goals. But at the same time, we've become really effective. We were one of the first cities in the Bay Area to have a certified housing element. We were the first city to have an AI use policy of our size. Larger cities with more resources can pull that off, but a city of our size, we were able to do that. We were also one of the first cities to innovate a new tool called stay interviews. It's a concept that I featured in an article that I wrote in PM Magazine with my colleague Frank Benest. So we're doing all kinds of cool and innovative things because we're small, because we can, but mostly because we have to. And because we're small, we have to be creative in how we use resources and find innovative ways to, for example, promote employee retention and growth, because turnover is a systemic problem throughout local government. So always looking for ways to attract and keep people, but give them the tools to do more with less.
Yeah, and just for the purposes of our audience, just so they know what small means, you keep saying small. What's your population? How many staff work there?
We are 8 square miles. We have a population of about 8,300 people, and we have a staff of about 28 people.
Okay, very good. And you're contract cities. Do you contract for sheriff services, for public safety, and
correct? We contract with the sheriff, city attorney, variety of other services, water quality, even sewer. We manage our sewer conveyance system, but we have a third party that manages the treatment of the lines and maintenance, and we are in a partnership with our regional water quality control plant, very similar to the Southern California Lakewood plan model of shared city services and contract city services.
Yeah, particularly helpful when you're that small a population. Getting scale is difficult to do, so you got to scale.
Totally.
You mentioned a lot about introducing technology, and your council giving you the latitude to, and frankly your staff probably too, giving you the latitude to experiment and try. I often try to float this concept to local government, especially elected leaders, that if you want innovation in your organization, you have to have a tolerance level for risk. Doesn't mean crazy risk, but you have to be able to look your city manager in the eye and say, yeah, take that risk. Let's see what happens. If it blows up, okay, we tried. So not that they all blow up, but it's an important, I think, philosophical point that needs to be made when talking about innovation risk in organizations. You mentioned this specifically and talked about AI, which I know is super hot and heavy topic these days in the local government world, at least in my pantheon of city manager friends I know and work with. You're one of the more tech progressive folks that I talk with, and to your point, you've spoken on panels about this. So can you talk a little bit about where, I know you have a policy, but specifically like tactical implementation of AI tools, what do you have going within the city walls in Los Altos Hills?
Yeah, thanks, Ryder. I think for me, this whole AI thing has really been more an exercise of necessity because we're small, because we are constantly losing institutional knowledge as people retire and move on. It was really about trying to find ways to leverage the information that we had to ensure that people can quickly and effectively find ways to get questions answered, to leverage beyond what their capability is, and to give them access to knowledge that would normally take a veteran or somebody that really understands where that information is kept. So it really became an exercise of necessity. So we're using AI to leverage employee strengths, kind of like how you use a calculator to save time in long division. And that way we can spend more time on meaningful work. You know, we can use the AI to help generate content. We use the AI in a number of operations embedded in technology as well as freeform. For example, we use Flock Safety, which is an ALPR solution that uses AI to monitor vehicles. It identifies the license plate, reads it, identifies the make, model, the color, any imperfections, bumper stickers on the car, and is able to determine if that vehicle is on a hot list, meaning it's stolen or part of an investigation in another city. And then we're able to, send out deputies to see about doing more research on that car, or maybe even, if we're lucky, apprehending it. We use Zen City to track community sentiment, to drive content, to understand how to drive meaningful information to our residents in ways that is helpful to them. And most recently, we ventured with a company called Madison AI to accelerate how we extract information from our records. In the past, we'd go to our city clerk and the clerk would have to research and then pull out information, and then we'd consume and read that information. But now with this tool, we've put all of our city council documents, agenda, staff reports in one repository, and we can do searches using powerful AI tools on that repository. It's made our life so much easier. We can get draft chronology of actions that council took and other things that would normally take us hours and hours to prepare. We also use open source tools like ChatGPT to carefully create content. We're always looking to make sure there's a human in the loop, but it's really good at suggesting a progression of thought, an outline. It'll suggest resources that we can investigate and look into. It can digest large amounts of data that doesn't have private information. So we want to make sure to strip out or not give it information that might be sensitive in nature. But it's like having a research companion by your side to improve your work, like a really high caliber intern. Generative AI is kind of like you, but better. If used wisely, safely, creatively, and you make sure that you maintain that human in the loop, it's a game changer. It can accelerate how quickly you put out a statement, write a blurb, digest information. It really, for us, it's about doing more with less. And it's about providing tools to our staff that gives them the ability to accomplish more as, like I said, people leave the organization and we lose that institutional knowledge.
Yeah, I'd say
it's
that
the perfect tool for the perfect time.
Yeah, I'd say that loss of institutional knowledge is probably one of the biggest challenges cities face, because the institution goes on for a very long time. So cities, unlike say businesses, have a higher probability of having long duration history and knowledge and information they need, particularly when you're dealing with land use issues, which are decades in the making and management, if not centuries. Yeah. And so, that kind of access to information, especially with a tool like Madison AI, can be immensely helpful. I want to change a little direction on that. And obviously, we'll get to the end of this conversation. People can figure out how to find you. And I know you're on LinkedIn as well, so it's easy enough for them to find you to chat more about AI stuff. But I want to segue a little bit back into your role at Cal-ICMA as the maybe by the time we're running this, you'll be president, but and I introduced you as such, but you are ascending to the presidency, I'll put it that way, and the transition is supposed to happen at the League City Manager Conference. Tell me a little bit about Cal-ICMA and what Cal-ICMA is first. Let's just talk about that for a second.
So yeah, you're right. I'm incredibly honored, Ryder. It really is a privilege. Absolutely delighted. This is probably the single largest position or post that I've held in a nonprofit capacity or membership capacity. So really incredible opportunity. But I think of Cal-ICMA presidency as a relay race. I'm just one in a series of people that are going to come through this. I'm taking the baton from an amazing president, Hazel Weatherford, the deputy city manager from Dublin, and I'm passing it down to my president-elect, who will be hopefully confirmed, Kevin Woodhouse, the city manager for Pacifica, and he'll pass it along to somebody else. So I'm incredibly happy to serve in whatever volunteer capacity, committee, lead, or president that I can be effective. It's really not about me. It's about advancing Cal-ICMA. And so Cal-ICMA specifically really calls to me because it's all about collaboration and connection between ICMA and its members here in California. Cal-ICMA is the California affiliate or subsidiary of ICMA. So there's tremendous amount of fusion and shared focus between the two organizations. We're focused on building partnerships. I mean, really at our core, among local professionals, local government professionals across the state, we are here to develop the professional network, help them develop as leaders, give them training, everything we do is centered around supporting ethical and effective management in local government. Unlike some membership organizations that look to drive revenues, Cal-ICMA doesn't have any unique organizational fees or dues or structures. It's just strictly a collaboration. We work with ICMA in California to do things like recruit new members to ICMA within California, retain existing ones. We address ethical related issues among our members. We help get members involved in ICMA committees and task force. We've even suggested executive board members, like we've written letters of recommendation for those that are seeking an executive board position, like Alyssa Cox, who now serves as the Western Regional Vice President. So Cal-ICMA was founded back in 2005 as the ICMA affiliate for California. We bring together a variety of groups. So there's Cal Cities, the City Managers Department, there's the California City Managers Foundation, there's municipal managers of Northern and Southern California. We bring these all together, as well as we work with affiliate organizations like CASE, Civic Pride, INAPA, League of Hispanic Network, the NFBPA, Women Leading Government. All of these, it's kind of like I think of Cal-ICMA as the center of the spoke, the center of the wheel, of the spoke in the wheel. And all these are various connections, and so those spokes are all come together in the hub. We also embrace the academic community. We offer scholarships and others so that those that are growing up the ranks through academic pursuits are able to attend ICMA conferences. So in short, Cal-ICMA is here to support, connect, strengthen local government community throughout California. We actually recently developed a mission statement. This came out last year. So that's promptly in our website. So the mission of Cal-ICMA is to connect California professionals for the advancement of ethical, inclusive local government management. In a nutshell, that's what we're here to do.
What are your, it's a lot, that's a big calling. So what are your big initiatives, particularly as you, in your term as president, that you're hoping to accomplish?
Yeah, another great question. And it's been a journey. Unlike a lot of other presidencies, we're not starting from scratch. We've had an amazing legacy left by the former leaders that have served in the role of presidency before me, like Alyssa Cox, like Hazel Weatherford. We started a rolling three-year plan 2 years ago, and we're continuing to improve upon that three-year plan and check off boxes and meet milestones. This year, we're focused on continuing to improve and strengthen the structure of the organization. Like all organizations, we need to make sure that our connective tissue is reinforced. And so really that's what we're trying to do, so that we can ensure that there's continuity in the service that we provide to our members. So number one, we're focused on updating our governance structure. So we want to make sure to ensure that processes are smooth and deliberate. We rely less on the institutional knowledge of those that have served and more on the organization itself as it transitions from one person filling a role as a chair in a committee to another. Excuse me.
No problem.
Number two, we're committed to helping prepare for the 2026 ICMA annual conference. As you know, it's coming to Long Beach.
It is.
We're really excited about that. We want to make sure that we continue in the legacy that ICMA has developed in the past. We want to make sure both our visitors in the Golden State, as well as our very own California members, can enjoy a week of education, fellowship, professional and personal revitalization. We're really taking this serious, and we want to make sure that our full support and efforts are going into making sure that 2026 conference is great. And then third, we want to enhance communications and relations. So we're made up of a variety of subcommittees, and those subcommittees have volunteers. If it wasn't for the volunteers, we would really struggle in trying to be effective in maintaining and managing the goals that we've set out every year on Tuesday before the CMD conference start, we're going to have a retreat that will last for 5 hours as we think through our goals for next year. And so these 3 goals are top of mind. But we've accomplished a lot this last year. We did a logo refresh. We came out with our mission statement that I shared. We've gone through branding exercises and marketing exercises. We've been really effective in attracting even more volunteers. And thank you, Tripepi Smith, for being one of the sponsors for Cal-ICMA. And our partnership network is growing and thriving. And it grows more and more every year, consistently growing over the last 3 years, because I think our network and our partners are realizing the value proposition of what we bring to bear. Then there's one more, and that is I'm exceptionally excited about. We're working on a goal to advance the Manager Support Initiative. MSI is something that Cal-ICMA has been involved in. We have a working title for that called Partners in Local Governance. We're giving it the acronym PILG. And it's a wonderful collaboration between Cal-ICMA, Cal Cities, and CCMF. And what we want to do is create training materials such as short form videos, instructional content, to help stress the importance of community leadership and continuity of leadership. So we're seeing a lot of transition in the organization among professionals as well as elected. Now more than ever, we need both sides to understand and embrace the importance of a shared governance structure like the council manager form of government. We need our goals not at the expense of any one person, but for the benefit of every person that serves and benefits from local government, our elected officials, our professionals, as well as our community. We're all in it together. That's why we're going with the tagline, Partners in Local Governance, and we're really hoping to make a big impact.
And how do you measure that impact? How do you know you're making the impact?
Hopefully we start seeing the civic discourse improve. We start seeing a more effective decision-making, a partnership with the professional staff and the elected officials, rebuilding trust with the community, helping ensure that we're actually delivering on promises. We're ensuring there's transparency and collaboration. It's a team. It's the council manager team. It's not the council and the manager. It's together we're able to accomplish the goals of the community. The same way one council member can't accomplish the goals without the other 4, the same is true with the council and the manager and the staff. And, you know, with all the polarization that's happening in local government, it's becoming harder, but we really want to help push through and help train and educate and really get that shared sense of ownership of what's at stake and how we can improve on it.
Yeah. I mean, as a comms guy myself in my day job, the trust factor and trust issues in government in general and our institutions and our society, I mean, those from medical professions and public health to federal government, state government, local government, higher education, K through 12 education, and you pretty much go across the board, and the institutions are losing the people, as I guess the way I would put it. They're just not as trusted, and that creates complexity when you're trying to do things. And there's lots of questions about ulterior motives or what the good intent is, and or lack of transparency around what's going on. So I'm completely empathetic to this trust gap that's being developed, and it creates all sorts of challenges and chaos and at all levels of government, but certainly at the local government level. I'm at the number of times, and I think it's one of the reasons why we're so busy these days doing communications, but where a city has a big initiative, they've been working on it, they feel like they've been talking about it with the community, and lots of staff time, effort, and resources go into it, and then they get to the night of the council meeting where a vote's supposed to take place, and all of a sudden 30 people show up and everybody's upset, and they're like, what just happened? And then suddenly the project dies, and and it's like, wow, we just spent a lot of time and got nowhere. And sometimes maybe it's good that these projects die. I'm not saying everyone needs to advance forward, but if it's done because of rooted only in distrust issues and not in a lack of understanding and openness to understanding, then that's not really an effective way to govern or get the things done that our communities are often asking for.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And so a lot of that process of building trust depends on a shared understanding of the governance structure. So if we can all agree to how we're going to govern together and the role that the professional staff and the elected official have, then we can get there together. And if we need to rebuild trust, then we slow things down and do that. But it has to be together. And as you mentioned, recall campaigns are up, but also professionals are leaving local government. Mm-hmm. And so we're seeing a lot of loss of institutional knowledge. And this industry is made up of people that understand how to get things done, which comes with time and experience. And so, there's a limited bench of elected officials, and there's a limited bench of professional staff. So we just got to make sure that we work with what we have and improve their skill sets to the best of our ability. And that's what we want.
Yeah. I mean, when you think about it in California, there's between city managers, assistant city managers, and deputy city managers, I mean, maybe there's 1,500, maybe, right?
Maybe.
Out of a population of 30 million. Like, obviously there's folks from out of state, but there's also, like every state, there's a heavy bias towards hiring people who have in-state experience because they understand the particulars of state governance and regulatory frameworks that are specific. So, most of the times you're looking for California experience when you're hiring a California city manager. So it just means the pool of talent narrows down very quickly.
Right.
Narrows down very quickly. All right. So a little change of direction here, but I just want to follow up on this kind of mashing together of, and speaking frankly of brain pool and talent and people that have been around. You said you're 26 years in and doing local government work. Is that correct, Peter?
Yeah. It's been an entire career.
Yeah. So you recently also, through ICMA, received your credentialed city manager status. Could you, what is that? What is a credentialed city manager, and why should Los Altos Hills care that you are a credentialed city manager?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's one of those credentials that literally takes your entire career to get. 26 years in, I have a master's, a PhD. I've worked in multiple cities. It was easier to get a PhD than it was to get an ICMA-CM. Being a credentialed city manager means essentially I've met a rigorous standard for education, experience, and ongoing professional development. So ICMA creates a set of standards that recognizes things like commitment to ethical, effective, professional local government management. It essentially is a stamp of accountability that says, not only am I qualified to lead, but dedicated to continuous improvement. You need to take an assessment that identifies where your strengths and weaknesses are and put together a training plan that ensures that you're upholding the highest standards in service to your community. The way it works to become a credentialed manager, you first have to develop a combination of education and a significant city, county management experience, which usually means a master's degree and several years of a deputy or assistant or city manager. And you have to have a commitment to the professional development going forward. So first you meet ICMA's educational experience requirements. Then after several years of leadership experience, you can apply. But it doesn't stop there. You actually have to develop a personal development plan and make sure that you do annual training, education, and then obviously stay committed to ICMA's Code of Ethics, which every city manager that I know of has a copy right there on their wall. They refer to it on a regular basis. It's a process that shows you're not just qualified today, but committed to staying sharp and ethical throughout your career. How does it benefit the community that I serve? Well, at its core, being credentialed means I'm striving for better. I'm striving better for me as a professional, as well as for the community I serve. I'm constantly looking for new approaches to tackle challenges that may be new to me, but may not be new to the profession. I need to stay ahead of emerging trends like AI, sustainability. I need to stay committed to ethical leadership. It's basically, I'm committing not to just be on autopilot. You have to continue to invest in yourself and the industry. It keeps me accountable to a higher standard, making informed, thoughtful decisions, and basically giving residents the confidence to know that their local government leaders are both capable and they're in professional hands. So I think it's a win for me. It's a win for my community. It's a win for the profession. If you're not ICMA-CM, I really encourage you to look into it. It's taken me several years to get here, but it's been about a year of an application process that I submit, and then you wait and you hear back. But it's been a privilege. I got to say, I've never been as excited to receive a credential as this one.
Wow, well, that says a lot, given you have a master's degree and a PhD. So, and I appreciate that summary too. I mean, that's a detailed step through of what it takes. Fundamentally, I can appreciate the idea of just constant learning, right? At my firm, we always talk about always be learning, ABL. That's just a general recognition that the environment that we operate in, you operate in, this local government world is constantly changing. There's an evolution of technology. There's an evolution of public policy problems, right? 20 years ago, the discussion about homelessness was not nearly what it is today. 20 years ago, we weren't discussing 20 years ago, we weren't discussing AI policy. 20 years ago, right. 25, 30 years ago, we didn't have websites. Like this whole space is changing a lot. And you just have to, since you're kind of at the front line of all that's affecting society and local government, if you don't have a always be learning attitude, or an attitude of how I'm adapting and growing my skill set to deal with the new changes that are on the horizon, then to your point, it's going to diminish your value to the organization. So you have to be staring at the horizon. So I appreciate that. I appreciate that analysis. All right. So as we wrap up here, how do people find you? Like, how would they get a hold of you? Let's start with that first. If they want to reach out, you're on LinkedIn. You got an email address?
Yeah, I'm on LinkedIn. That's the easiest way. I'm constantly posting on LinkedIn. It's probably the only social media channel I use. So it's a great place to learn about things that I'm working on, initiatives. I post a lot about the work I'm doing at CivStart and Cal-ICMA, et cetera. Email is fine too, if you'd like to email me at my first initial last name at losaltoshills.ca.gov.
Why don't you spell that out for our audience?
Sure, it's Pirnejad at Los Altos Hills, one word, .ca.gov. Easy to find on the internet. If you were to just type Peter in Los Altos Hills, I'm sure you can find me. Not too many of me.
And then how do they learn more about Cal-ICMA?
Absolutely. I would go to the website. We've got a lot of great information on there. Like I said, we're going to be having our retreat here on the 4th of February. And if you find me at the CMD conference in Rancho Mirage, stop me and let's have a conversation. I'll tell you all the opportunities for volunteering. We've got a tremendous amount of opportunity, always looking for new talent that want to get involved and learn more. It's a very supportive group. We all do amazing work and super jazzed and excited about the work that we do. And again, I couldn't be possible without our gracious sponsors that wouldn't be here if it wasn't for them.
Great. Well, I'm sure I appreciate your leadership in the sector. I appreciate your counsel you've given me over the years as well, and the opportunity to work with you in a few cities, and generally the kind of forward-looking stance you bring to the work in local government. So it's a pleasure to have you on the podcast today, Peter. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Ryder. It's always a pleasure.
And that's today's report. My thanks to Peter for joining us. From the whole PublicCEO team and myself, Ryder Todd Smith, thank you for your time. We hope you learned something new and inspiring that will help you in your public service. Remember, Public CEO has a daily newsletter that is free to those who sign up at PublicCEO.com. Thank you for tuning in to this edition of the Public CEO Report. If you enjoyed this episode, please consider subscribing across all of our platforms so you never miss out on this great content. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, and Amazon Music.